nation, but bad for Austin.
Voting is important.
Yeah, because you are choosing your government.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it is our responsibility as citizens to be, what is the word I'm looking for? Be opinionated about who is leading our country and the decisions that they're making for the country. And really, one of the best ways to let our elected officials know what we want is to vote for specific people or specific measures.
I think voting is important because with all of the money that is now pumped into politics, it's still the most important and influential way that an individual citizen can have their voice heard on the national, local, state level. So.
Voting is important because if you choose not to vote, then you really don't have any room to complain or express your opinions because you neglected to express your opinion when you had a chance. And also in terms of having a more global perspective, you know, people in other countries literally die for that right to vote. So I think people here sometimes undervalue that or don't have that perspective. So for sure that's why it's important.
Well, I think on like a nationwide scale, I think we should have mandatory voting. I mean, I think the government should require people to vote and fine people who don't vote. Because I think it's hard because I think that would require people to take a more active role in government, and I know it's easier to not go to the polls and be like, oh, well, I didn't vote, so then I'm not responsible for what happens. But if you're required to vote, then you feel some kind of requirement to be responsibility. Thanks for being more informed about what's going on and for taking responsibility for the decisions that are made after that.
My advice to the young voters is A, vote, and then B, educate yourselves on what is going on. There's a lot of misinformation out there with the internet and a lot of poor information on a lot of news networks now, unfortunately. So it's about finding good sources, doing the historical research on the issues, see why the issue is here at this point, what we've done to get here, and what is the best course to move forward.
Some advice that I would give to young voters is keep an open mind. Try to seek out different forms of news. Don't just use one news network or one news site. And also something that I don't think a lot of people think about is make sure to vote even in the elections that aren't presidential elections, so every 2 years. The elections are still really important, but voter turnout is way lower. So I think if voter turnout is lower, then in a way your vote is actually counting more, your vote is worth more. So voting in those elections that aren't presidential also.
I think voting age 18 is appropriate. I think once you're 18, if we've decided as a nation that's the age that people are responsible enough to buy cigarettes, be in the military, I think that's appropriate time for you to start making decisions for the country.
I think you should probably stay the same. There are definitely some people that I think at like 16 could probably handle voting, but you really have to put in a decent amount of time to really educate yourself to make a proper opinion. And I feel like when you're still young, I know for myself example, when I was 16, my opinions were still forming. I wasn't really educated too much on the issues. I was still going through a lot of my history classes like U.S. history, and that knowledge is very important when you're deciding on which way to vote, on candidates, on issues, things like that. So for me, I know that I was much better prepared to actually vote and do so in a sound way than I was in high school. So That would be my opinion. I would say 18 is probably a good age.
I think the voting age is fine where it's at. I wouldn't change it. I think it makes sense where it is. For me, it's kind of like if you can join the military, then you should be able to vote. So, and they correspond.
Vote?
Vote.
Vote.